So let's have a look now at, what the steps are to start identifying, who the different types of people are. So we'll look at productivity, and first off, I just want to look at these 4 factors. And these 4 factors is like basically what we go through to discover, who is who. And the very first thing we always look at, before even looking at resumes in most circumstances, is actually this area of production or past performance. And what we're looking for here is a person that, can demonstrate where they've been able to add value somewhere in the past. If you look at sport, very easy to do because, in sport, let's say we want someone to play a new full forward to kick more goals in the footy. It's like, the coach, the first question he's going to ask this person when he sits down in front of him is like, how many goals did you kick last year? And if this player, if his answer is something like, last year is not probably the best year to ask about because, last year I actually injured my knee and so I didn't get to play so many games. So the coach will go, okay, well tell me, what about the year before? How many goals did you kick? And he's, I was playing down in Gippsland and, it didn't stop raining that season and, the whole league really hardly kicked any goals, so it's probably not the best season to ask about. And imagine the coach would be getting pretty frustrated by now. It's like, well, what about the season before that? So, so glad you asked me about that season. That year, no one would pass me the ball. So I hardly kicked any goals. But I know on your team, your players are so good, you're going to pass me the ball so much, I'm just going to kick so many goals, and I'm going to put this team, your team, when I'm on it, we're going to win the premiership because of me. What do you think the coach would say? That's it. Next. And so it's no different if you want to buy a racehorse. Here you are with the owner, and you go down to the stables, and as you're walking down to the stables, you see there's this beautiful horse. It's very tall, it's dark, it's glistening, its muscles are shining in the sun. And you say to the owner, you go, it's like, tell me, what this horse looks so nice. It's beautiful. And the owner goes, yeah, this is the nicest horse I've ever had. Because, you go up and pat it, it comes up and greets you, see it's come up to us and it's greeting us. We can put the children on its back. And, it will make sure the children don't fall off even if there's no saddle. He goes, wow. He goes, and, can it run fast? The owner's like, I don't know if we've really ever seen it run. Even when we had a fire, we had to pull the thing out, it wouldn't run. And just as the owner's saying this, there's a horse right down the back of the stable. It's going crazy. It's got 6 ropes on it, tying it up. And so I asked the owner, I go, tell me about this horse down the back. And he goes, oh, that horse, that's crazy. Look, we got 6 ropes on it because, last time when it got out, we couldn't catch it. And so I asked him, I go, well, can it run fast? He goes, well, yeah, it can run fast. It's like, we can't even catch it on motorbikes. It's just nuts. But, no one can tame this horse. We can't break it in. And so, for me, which horse am I going to be more interested in? Am I going to be more interested in this nice horse at the front that I can put my children on, or this crazy horse down the back? Yeah, the crazy horse. Because, you can't actually train a horse that can't run fast to run fast. But so I've got no chance with this horse at the front to win races. But definitely this crazy horse that no one can break in, it already has the most important thing is it can run fast. And so now I get more interested in this horse and I want to find out more about it. Maybe they give it too much red cordial, whatever it might be, but it's like this now I'm interested in. And it's the same with people. If a person can't demonstrate that they've had some area in their life minimally, or especially in, they have been able to contribute value into an organisation, there's no more to talk to this person about. If they can contribute and they can demonstrate some, semblance of being able to contribute, now we're interested in the next step. And the next factor we look at is personality. Because now we want to know, does a person, will they fit the job? How long maybe they will stay in the job? And also, how they work with others. Because most jobs, have some teamwork. Some jobs, like if you're employing service technicians or sales reps, these guys, it's the other way around. You want them to be more loners. Because otherwise what they do, if it's a service technician, if they like people, they'll tend to sit in the wholesalers and make that their new team, or you can't get them out of the office. Because it's a fairly lonely job. They sit in their car, they go to a client, normally the customer's a little bit hostile because something's not working, and they fix it, they're there an hour or two, and then they leave again. And so they never have really a team. And, there's different factors that make people stay in an organisation. Some people love challenge, some people like stability. And so managing these different types of personalities is actually one of the key things to retention of staff. And it obviously fit to the job just because someone's very productive in one area. Let's say someone's really good at selling computers at Harvey Norman. He's the #1 salesperson in Victoria. But now he wants to go and work for you that sells software to banks. And it's a very different job. It takes two different personalities. With Harvey Norman, the prospect finds you. It's like they're short sales cycles. You're dealing with a decision maker. Whereas now, I'm going to go sell software to banks, or this person will sell software to banks. It might be you only sell one package every 2 years. You've got to find the prospects. You're dealing with someone here who's got to go through 5 committees before you get to the actual decision maker. And so, just because someone's very productive in one area, you need to know, well, can they swing across and be productive in this area? And just in sales, there's actually, if you look at all the variables, there's nearly 1,400 different types of salespeople if you really cut down to the nuances of sales. And so we need a system that can show you more about the person's personality and not have to learn about it once they come into the organisation, because again, that's expensive. The third thing that we look at is motivation. And this is really looking at, what gets the person out of bed in the morning and why do they want this job in your organisation. And we break this down into 2 categories. We say that a person's either inflow oriented, inflow motivated, meaning that it's they're looking at what's in it for them. It's like they're not really interested in anything else but what do I get out of this job from you. Or we say they're outflow motivated, meaning that they're looking at, firstly, how can they contribute to your organisation? And then they become more interested in what's the inflow they get back from that. Or they just automatically know that if I contribute well, I know I always get something back. And so inflow people are quite tough to employ. They put a lot of attention on the things about themselves. So if something goes slightly wrong, you know about it. If there's a little mistake, there's $2.30 missing out of their pay, it's like you know about it. If you ask them to do something that's outside of their job specification, quite often they're like, well, that's not part of my job. It's like, we have to sort something out on this. Whereas the outflow orientated people, it's like all they want to do is they know they contribute, makes them feel better, and they know that they get something back from it, and they don't need to put so much attention on it, on the inflow. And if you want to really test who was inflow and outflow in your organisation, let's say you have 30 staff, you could put them all into a room and let them know that times are pretty tough right now, guys. And we have new competition, and you've seen that the economy, if you're outside of mining, is not so good. So I'm just letting you know that we were asking you all to take a 15% pay cut for at least the next 6 months, and this will avoid us having to put people off. And so you deliver this message to your team, and the inflow guys will straight away go, what? I'm so loyal, I work so hard for you, and you do this to me? I'm so offended. The outflow guys, they're like, oh, wow, 15% pay cut. Okay, I need to work even harder now. Make sure we get this fixed. And, it's a crazy difference. But you'll notice it, even in when you're interviewing people or meet people, inflow-orientated people, it's like, firstly, they can be the type of people that look, I don't even want to talk to you, what's the rate? Yeah. No, I'm not interested. It's like, if it's not the right rate, it's, there's a corner office. Do I get a car park? But sometimes outflow people are a bit this way, because sometimes outflow people, they get ripped off. They work their ass off and they do a really good job and they know they're contributing a lot. But unfortunately, whoever they're working for doesn't recognise it or can't reward them for it. And so what they do, the good thing with outflow people, they don't really complain so much. They just go, okay, it's not working so well here. I go look for another job. The inflow person will create quite some problems when, they feel like they're not being rewarded correctly, which is usually wrong to start off with. But so the outflow person, sometimes when they come to the interview, might start with this sort of question. Well, I just want to make sure, do you pay your commissions?
Always laugh at that one.
Yeah, it's happened. I mean, I've met so many people, especially out of property, when we do a lot of property hiring, they're owed $80,000, $100,000, $200,000 of commissions because it's like they don't get paid till settlement. When settlement comes up, the owner of the company's got no money. They've spent it all, so they can't pay their sales guys. But, the other thing too is the inflow guys, they tend to make themselves look more interesting. They tend to try and make themselves look valuable, and they'll say things to make you go, wow, he's so intelligent. And I'll ask questions like, do you use the AS4000s here? And you're going, oh, I'm not sure, I could find out for you. And they say, no, don't worry, it's okay. And so the outflow guy, they're more interested in the actual job. They're going, tell me more about this job. So I don't quite get how you do this part. Ah, I see. That I can actually contribute a lot to that. I know a fair bit about that. And they're outflowing, even with their interest outflows. Whereas the inflow guys, they're actually trying to inflow interest. They're trying to make you interested in them rather than, the outflow guys being interested in actually how they can contribute. And even in life, outflow people are much happier. Because it's quite interesting, if you look at happiness, happiness is about, being able to achieve things and achieve goals and overcome barriers to achieve goals. And so outflow guys naturally are doing this. Inflow guys are always looking for happiness because it's like they think that, for them, happiness is receiving things. And so they're always guys that are, I'm looking for happiness and, if only I get more money and more this and more that, I'll be happy. And so they're constantly looking for it. As outflow people, they're just outflowing, they're producing and contributing. And so you don't generally want to miss inflow people. They're not people you really want in the organisation. And actually how you advertise jobs is the first step of screening these people out. And there's a whole, quite a bit to know about advertising and attracting people to the organisation. The next factor, and the last one, is actually knowledge. And we know that knowledge doesn't necessarily equal education or experience. If you just look, who here did some study outside of high school, like you went to university or TAFE or something like that? Yeah. And now, if you look at what you use on your job, what percentage of what you learn in that course do you use on your job?
Not much.
I know for me, I did a trade, and at trade school, it's like most of the time we played poker with the teacher. We win all the money off us. And then when actually we did our tests, he would hand our tests back to us to mark, because that way we wouldn't fail. And but the thing is, is that when someone has just been to university or done a course, it doesn't mean that they're qualified to do the job. And just because someone has had a lot of experience in a certain area doesn't mean that that experience has been actually contributing. It could be 20 years of experience of wrecking organisations. I can see you've had some experience in these areas. And so the thing is, now when it comes to hiring, it doesn't quite make sense to have a pile of resumes and start looking through and sifting out all the most, look at this experience, and wow, look how much. 2 degrees in this, beautiful. And because not only are you pulling all the most expensive people out, because this is what 99% or more of employers and recruitment companies look at, you also could be throwing away the people that are actually the most productive. Personally, if I have a big pile of resumes, what I like to do is I just, if I have 100 of them, I get the top 70 and I throw them in the bin. Because I don't like to hire unlucky people. So I just stick with the 30 lucky ones. So, in an organisation, it's like if you look at, say, McDonald's. If you want to buy a McDonald's franchise, as soon as you put that you've had hospitality experience down on the application, it's like they actually put you to one side. They're the opposite. Oh no, we don't want him. A bank manager, never had a cafe in his life, or anything that beautiful. Because they know that when they send you to Hamburger University, that, the person has experience, starts arguing with the instruction and going, this process here, it's like, you don't cut tomatoes like that, it just wrecks the flavour. And so they don't want that. They want people that know nothing, because they can train people to exactly the way they want them. And, if you have someone that has a lot of knowledge and experience, but it's inflow motivated, doesn't fit the job, will stay forever, no one likes him, and, can't show any production, is it really someone you want in your organisation? Whereas you have someone that comes in and they're actually really productive, they fit the job, they're going to stay, they're a great team player, they're outflow motivated, but they're missing some knowledge. It's like, knowledge is not so hard to give someone. Sometimes you can start someone in an organisation with no experience in your industry or in that job, and it's like a few weeks later, it's like it feels like they've been 20 years in the job. And also, if you look at it, it's like, if someone is inflow oriented, it's like, how do you fix that? What course do you send them on? What training do you give them? What talk do you give them? Let's say someone, basically no one likes the person. His personality grinds on everyone else. It's like, how do you sort that out? And if someone's not productive, it's like, what training course do you send them on for that? Because there is really no courses that cover the first three factors. If you don't get someone pretty young in their career when they first break out of school and put them into a productive environment, it's very hard to sort them out. And even then, they may not make it just because they're in a productive environment. Whereas if you look at knowledge, it's like most training and most courses and this is something that you have already in your organisation. It's not so hard to give to someone. And so the thing to look at is, don't look at knowledge first. For sure, if you need to hire someone like an airline pilot or someone, you need an electrician that has to have, A-grade licensing, for sure you need to make sure they have the minimum statutory requirements. Because, I'm sure if you need an electrician now, you don't want to hire someone that in 4 years' time now can actually work by themselves. So check for the minimum things, but beyond that, it's like go straight into the first factor and check for production. Don't worry about what the person's knowledge or experience is so much, because it's like, like I said, some people can pick these things up really fast.